Welcome to Satsang. So beautiful to be together with you all. So beautiful to have this opportunity to dive deep together. We'll start with one of the questions that comes in advance, as we always do, from our family joining us from all over the world online via the internet. And here might have, there's a microphone right here in the center, so don't be shy. This is your time. It's not a class, it's not a lecture, it's your time. So any questions that anyone has that are keeping you from really living in the truth, the fullness, the light of who you are. Share your name, share your question, share where you're from, and we'll dive together through that question into all of our collective truth. But first, one that has come in advance. How to know and achieve the purpose of my life, though an orphan with financial constraints. Fortunately, knowing and fulfilling our Dharma doesn't actually require any amount of money. Yes, if you find that you are someone who has resources, whether because you've inherited them, whether because you've earned them, whether because they've come in some other way, then obviously using those resources is part of your Dharma. It's how we understand, right? That we're just trustees of the money, that whatever we have, whether it's a skill, whether it's knowledge, whether it's opportunity, whether it's resource, we're just a trustee of it. It's been given to us not to hoard, but it's been given to us to use. And if money is one of those things given to you, okay, so it means part of your Dharma is figuring out how to use your finances in alignment with your purpose. But if money is not one of those resources you have, do not worry. There's no sense that you have to somehow have money and only then can you fulfill your Dharma. The person who's asked this question is an orphan without much money. Means somebody who's gone through a lot of challenges. Difficult times, for sure. I don't know their full history, but just from what they've said. No matter what you've been through, we all have challenges, we all have struggles in different ways. Sometimes it's logistic. No money, no house, no job. Sometimes we have all of those things. Lots of money, or at least ample money. Lots of education. Not only one house to live in maybe, but maybe a choice of different homes we could live in. But the emptiness then is in our hearts. We may have all of that on the outside, but be, as Pujya Swamiji always says, everything is set, but we are upset. So we could be in that situation. But the important foundation is there's no prerequisite from the external world, whether it's having living parents, whether it's having a fat bank balance, whether it's having anything, there is no prerequisite to fulfilling your purpose. How to know that purpose? Through going deep within. You know, in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is very lucky because Bhagavan Krishna is standing there telling him, this is your dharma. Fight this war. This is your purpose. It's one of the reasons that having a guru in their body, like a living guru who's still alive in form, is such a blessing. A lot of times people ask, there's even a question here about finding the right guru. It comes up all the time. And one of the aspects that arises frequently is, do we have to have a guru? What if my guru is no longer in their body? What if, you know? And what I always say is, you know, whether the guru is still in their body or not, they have the power to teach you, to guide you, to lead you. Whether the guru is one who ever had a body or not, right? They still have the power to guide you and lead you, whether it's just divine spirit. But there's a very specific benefit to having a guru who is alive in their body. Is the benefit that Arjuna had, which is literally you've got another human being speaking a language you understand, telling you, do this, do that, this is your purpose, this is your dharma. We do have the ability, of course, to discover it inside. We're not put on earth with any lack of tools for our spiritual awakening. But we've got a lot of obstacles to it. Ego, ignorance, fear, patterns, projections, expectations, attachments, false beliefs, so many. And so the benefit of having that living guru, or in Arjuna's case, having literally the divine stand in your chariot as your driver, tell you this is your dharma, is that you don't have to wonder about it. But if you don't have that, don't despair. Through going within, we absolutely can access it through our intuition, through our divine knowledge and connection. And along the way, remember that we share a collective dharma, whoever you are. Financially poor orphan, or very financially well-off person from an enormous family, and every one of us in between. We share a collective dharma, which is what I was speaking about last night in the Arati, which is number one, wake up to the truth of who you are. Stop identifying as the story, as the body, as the history, as the narratives. And number two, recognize that your highest dharma, highest purpose, is to be a tool, a divine tool, a yantra, in the hands of the divine, who will use you in the most perfect way, because who's divine? God knows exactly what your skills are, what your abilities are, how much you got in the bank account, and is going to use you in exactly the most perfect, right way for not only what your karmic package and karmic journey is, but also for the very unique set of skills, abilities, experiences, needs, challenges that you have. So absolutely it's possible to know and discover and live your dharma, whoever you are, wherever you are. And the easiest way, if you don't have a guru telling you this is it, is sacrifice yourself. Not in a negative way. We've got this really awful misconception about sacrifice, but sacrifice as in a yagna, as in a sacred puja, a sacred offering of you to the divine. Okay, God, you know me. You know what I can do, you know what I can't do, you know what my challenges are, you know my strengths and my weaknesses. You know exactly what experiences I need to have, the lessons I need to have, the challenges I need to have in fulfilling my dharma so that I simultaneously have a deep spiritual experience. Because fulfilling your dharma, remember I said the first piece of our collective dharma is to wake up, to realize who we are. So your dharma is not a checklist. It's that which we bring into the world. Can be tangible, can be not tangible, can be one thing, can be a billion things. But that which we emanate into the world, as we are waking up to the very truth of who we are, as we are realizing, experiencing the very truth of ourselves. And every single one of us, in every single circumstance, is perfectly, fully equipped for it. Great question. Other questions? Yes, come.
Good evening, Sadhviji, and thank you for the opportunity. I've come from Delhi and my name is Agni. I'm 54 years of age. So I have two questions specifically for you. One is that how does one absolve one from their own guilt? Guilt of actions which didn't go the way then one had assumed, wanted to do something, did something else, or even in the present or future. So how does one absolve from the guilt? And secondly, I'm in quite a happy state when it comes to relationships, finances, and health. Yet, I don't find myself to be very happy. So what could be the reasons and what could be the solutions? These are my two questions. Thank you.
Great. Well, the two questions are definitely interlinked. I believe just from these questions that it is your guilt that is keeping you from being happy, no matter how much you have, no matter how much you've achieved. Because guilt is toxic. It's toxic to our mind, it's toxic to our heart, it's toxic to our life. You are bad. Guilt is the voice inside your head that says you will always be bad. Everything you do is bad. Guilt is pervasive. Regret is much more useful. Regret says, oh, that was a mistake. Shouldn't have done it like that. It's specific, it's individual, it's time-bound, and it's something that actually is useful for us. We all make mistakes, consciously, unconsciously. Regret is that which is an energy within us that essentially says, I have a conscience. I did something that wasn't skillful, wasn't compassionate, wasn't conscious. And therefore, there's a feeling inside me that doesn't feel good. And it's a deterrent. It's a deterrent against doing those same things again. It's a great system. Guilt is different. Guilt is not situation specific. Guilt gives you no way out. Regret gives you a way out. You can say you're sorry, you can make amends, you can promise never to do it in the future, you can fix the situation in some way, you can learn a lesson. Guilt has no exit. Guilt keeps you stuck. Because guilt is all about who you are. And so the very first most important thing to do is shift your guilt into regret. You said, okay, you've made some mistakes in the past. Okay, acknowledge them, look at them, what were they? And how can you repair those mistakes in some way? For example, if the people that you hurt in those mistakes are still people you are in relationship with, or that you have any way of connecting with, reach out and tell them how sorry you are. Could be 30 years later. You know, a lot of times we say, oh, it's too late. It's never too late. It's never too late. We hold on to pain. I recently, just about a month ago, a beautiful man came who I hadn't seen in 38 years. When I was 15, the summer I was 15, he was 17. We met at summer camp, fell in love, my first ever love. I, of course, thought we were soulmates. He broke my heart in the most awful way. 38 years later, through a series of divine serendipities, I mean, we had not stayed in touch or anything like that. He comes, he gets in touch, he comes. First moment when I walked into the room where he was waiting for me, and he burst into tears and he said, I'm so sorry. Now, in 38 years, not only had I gone through a lot of relationships before I came to India and ended up taking sannyas, but I had gone through other relationships in the 10 years between being 15 and being 25 when I came. I had taken vows of monastic renunciation, celibacy. I went from being 15 to being 53. I certainly was not carrying around the pain of what had happened to me at 15 anymore. And yet, I tell you this story for a reason, and yet, 38 years later, the power of actually having someone who, even though you're not thinking about it, nonetheless was one of those people in your life who really hurt you, having them 38 years later come back and say, I'm so sorry, it's hugely, powerfully healing. So, however long it's been, if you have the opportunity to let them know how sorry you are, absolutely do it. And if you have the ability to make actual amends in some way, in some cases, like in my case, no amends to be made, it was just my heart he broke. It fixed itself. Time does that to our hearts. But, you know, sometimes you do things that cause people pain and difficulty and suffering in a variety of other ways. Is there actually a way that you can somehow repair, fix how you may have hurt someone? And if you can, do it. If you can't, at least let them know how sad you feel for the fact that you can't. That's the first piece. Second piece is, allow yourself to take a lesson from it. Surely you didn't wake up that day and say, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a horrible mistake today that's going to hurt somebody I really care about, and I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life. Surely you didn't wake up that day saying that. Surely you woke up that day the same as every day, with full of good intentions. But mistakes happen. We have moments. We're unconscious. We're not able in that moment to show up with the fullness of the toolbox we've been given. We don't have the patience, the compassion, the love, the clarity, the spaciousness, the skill set to offer what is needed in that moment. take a lesson. How can you make sure that those mistakes never happen from you again? Because just feeling guilty doesn't actually help anybody. It kills you. It doesn't help those you hurt. It's not healing something in the world. Because then you're just carrying around this sense of, I'm an awful person. It's useless. Counterproductive for your spiritual progress, counterproductive for the energy of the universe. It goes against the divine flow. It's holding you back. It's keeping you stuck. Do something that's going to enable the energy to move forward. Learn the lesson. And commit that whatever it is that made me make those mistakes, I won't do it again. People sometimes make mistakes because they were drinking or they were under the influence of drugs. It's what propels a lot of people to stop drinking, to stop using, because they realize the horrible ways that they're hurting their loved ones, the horrible mistakes that they're making through the addiction. Sometimes we do it because we're just too busy, or we're stressed, or we're not present. So you make a commitment to be present, to not be in such a rush. Whatever it was that led you to make those mistakes that you feel so guilty about, and allow the regret to be the energy that propels you to apologize, to make amends, to repair whatever it is that you broke, to whatever extent you can repair it. And if those people are no longer alive, or they're no longer in relationship with you, just apologize into the universe. Do something good in their name. Feed people in their name, plant trees in their name, build a school in their name. But do something that karmically brings healing to the world, if you can't bring healing back to them directly. But eventually, let the regret go as well. So first you shift it from guilt to regret. It shifts from being useless to being useful, from being toxic to being just an energy, a catalyst for movement. And then ultimately you forgive yourself, because you realize that you, like all of us, are human. And none of us wakes up in the morning and says, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to ruin somebody's life. We're doing the best we can. Nobody even wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to do a half-hearted job of being me today. We're trying our best. We just are not very skillful a lot of the time. And it's where, as we work on being conscious, as we work on living in a state of expanded consciousness, as we grow spiritually, we commit to growing and growing and growing, so that we stop making the mistakes that arise from just being unconscious. But before you go, make sure to have a bath in Ganga that frees you from that guilt inside. You've been carrying it for too long. Yeah, of course. Other questions? Yes, of course.
Good evening. My name is Ramachandran from Chennai. This is connected to the question you answered yesterday about oneness. Sadhviji mentioned that oneness connecting to the experience of holding a newborn and expanding it further. My question is, it is easy to have oneness with a newborn child or a compassionate person. But how to have oneness with the following two categories of people? like somebody who is very cruel, cheating, and corrupt. Second group of people, they are not cruel, but they have different ideologies.
Yes.
They have different, there is no frequency between this.
So, when we speak about oneness, it's really important to realize that we're talking about oneness on a level of soul. If you're looking at a level, and that's why I use the example of the newborn baby. Because if you're going to experience it with a human being, as someone, when he had asked it last night, someone who had never experienced that, didn't even know what that oneness was. But the minute that I brought him into the example of holding his own newborn child, he had an experience arise, an awareness. Because although the child is human, like, yes, in a human form, there's nothing that is separate or distinct about it. It has no personality. It has no likes or dislikes. It doesn't belong to a particular political party. Right? It's not of a certain religion. It doesn't choose to get vaccinated or not vaccinated. It doesn't belong to any camp. It's not right-winged or left-winged. It doesn't have a sexual orientation, a gender identity. It doesn't have any of the things that cause us to be separate, that cause us to believe that we are separate, that cause us to say, oh, us versus them. We do it on the base of color, of race, of religion, of size, of culture, of all of these things. But a newborn, yeah, it has a color, but I mean, pretty much all newborns are kind of pinkish, regardless of what color eventually they're going to turn out. But a newborn doesn't have any distinction within it. The reason experiencing oneness is actually much easier with the divine is because there isn't something that we automatically feel separate about. Someone holds a different belief than I do. Someone looks different than I am. My initial instinct is we are different, we are separate. When we speak about oneness, it's not oneness of a physical body level. On a physical body level, our bodies are by all means absolutely different. You have a weight, a height, a shape, a size, an age that is utterly different from my weight, height, size, shape, age, etc. But that's the materialistic viewpoint. And we are not matter, we are spirit. We have a body, but we are spirit, we are soul. So oneness is on the level of soul. So people who are difficult, people who believe differently, people who do awful things, people who have entirely different values. I mean, let's go beyond even just a variety in God's garden. Let's go into even, subjective labels. Let's say that those who are evil, those who are creating harm, those who are bad in their decisions, in their values, in their ethics, feeling oneness with them is very difficult. If you're trying to feel oneness on the level of values, ethics, beliefs, principles, political party, if you recognize, though, that you at the core are soul, and they at the core are soul, and just as you are not your body or your job or your bank account, neither are they. You're not your political beliefs. They're not their political beliefs. Who you are is soul. Divinity, consciousness, pure awareness, light, whatever word you use, it doesn't matter. That's the oneness. It's the oneness like all the waves in the ocean are ultimately one. two waves are not merging into each other. Two waves are distinct. And yet, both waves at their core are ocean. Indistinguishable. In the same way, in our superficial form, in this world of Maya, we are different, we are separate. You have your karmic package and karmic journey, I have my karmic package, karmic journey. That body is your vehicle, this body is my vehicle. But at the core, we are both soul. So when you experience oneness, or you're looking to do that, instead of seeing people just on the basis of their physical body, of their role in society, of their beliefs or their ethics or their choices or their alignments, see them as soul. And see yourself as that. You can't see others as that until you see yourself as that. So do your spiritual practice to have the experience of self as soul, such that then when you look in others' eyes, you can see, yeah, that's me in there. That's you in here. There's no difference. That's the practice.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yes.
Namaste.
Namaste.
I am from Gurgaon, and my question is that on a spiritual journey, if
Can you
one,
speak just a little bit louder so that we can hear you? Thanks, yeah.
on a spiritual journey, if one is able to experience the joy and the rest of life in the heart, and a strong aspiration, but at the same time, one is trapped in certain wounds down here, such as worthiness, and one finds himself or herself really stretched between these two opposites. So how to think about merging these two energies in terms of the inside world and the outside world? What is one experiences from inside and the outside life?
It's not so much a merging of internal energies and external energies, so much as it is an ability to access the energy inside. And through accessing the energy inside, the divine energies inside us, the energies outside of us that we are emanating, they shift. The energies that others are emanating, the energies of the universe, light, dark, hot, cold, gravity. I mean, there's so many energies. The magnetic energy of the moon and the planets. There's an almost infinite number of other types of energies that are physically in the world around us. Electromagnetic fields. I mean, there's so many other energies around us. But the key has to do not so much with merging the energies as with working with your internal energy that connects you with that energy of the divine, such that as you move through the world, you are less impacted by many of the energies around you. Not all. Some of them are always going to impact you. Nothing you can do about it. Gravity, always going to impact you. You're enlightened, or you've never gone on a spiritual path at all. Either way, walk off a building, you're going to go splat on the ground. Energies of heat. You sit in the sunshine, Enlightened, not enlightened. Gonna get a sunburn. Has only to do with the, shade of your skin, nothing to do with the internal energies. But as far as the energies of other people in the world around you, the energies that we pick up in the world that we move through, our own internal energy and our ability to access that, to harness that, to work with that, to anchor in that, that enables us to move through the world not being so impacted by the energies of others. Take a moment, sit down and just take a moment, everybody. Close your eyes. And just take a moment and allow your awareness to come to your breath. Don't try to change the breath. Just allow the awareness to merge into it. But allow the energy now, that energy of awareness, allow it to merge with your breath low in your abdomen. When most of us bring the awareness to our breath, it's up in our rib cage, our chests, our sternum. Instead of that, bring the awareness of your breath low in your abdomen. There's an energy center just beneath the belly button, about 2 inches below the navel, called the Swadhisthana chakra. And just allow the awareness of your breath to anchor in that Swadhisthana chakra. So as you're inhaling, feel that energy center expand. You can visualize it as a lotus flower. And as you inhale, the petals of that lotus open. And as you exhale, you anchor back into that energy center. Swadhisthana literally means the place of the self. So allow yourself to anchor in that energetic center of yourself. And as you inhale now, on the inhalations, allow the breath, the energy of the breath to rise. So it begins at your Swadhisthana chakra, and it rises through your physical and energetic bodies. And it rises until it gets to your third eye center, just between the eyebrows. What's called the Agya chakra, that center of the power of discrimination that allows us to see truth from falsehood, to see content, essence, instead of just form. And on the exhalations, allow the breath to drop back down from the Agya chakra down to the Swadhisthana chakra. And if you can't carry the breath all the way up in one smooth and unbroken breath, don't worry. Just allow it to rise as high as it comfortably can. And then exhale. But allow the awareness and intention to stay on the third eye as the breath is rising. So take the breaths at your own pace, rising higher and higher and higher on your inhalations, and dropping deeper and deeper on your exhalations. If the mind gets distracted, just bring it back. Back to the breath as it's rising and letting go. Slowly bring the palms of the hands together at chest level. Rub the palms of your hands against each other. And press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. Slowly and gently lower the palms and open your eyes. So that's one type of meditation that helps you really harness the energies within the body, to work with them. And the more and more you do that, the more you're going to find as you move through the world that instead of just being like this sponge that sort of absorbs wherever you are, or being like this light switch that other people's energies just flip on and off, that you actually have access to that internal conscious ability to work with the energies of the body. And there's so many. I mean, that's just one. But there's so many ways of working with the energies. And the more you do that, the more you have access to that. So don't think about merging them. You don't want to merge all of them. you want to anchor in your energy. And then carry that as you move through the world and exude it, share it. Recognize an experience of oneness with other energetic beings. It's another way to get connected. You know, soul is one, our energetic bodies is another. But don't think about it as trying to like merge everything in the universe into your energetic body. Wonderful. Yeah. Yes, last question.
Good evening, Sadhviji. My name is Anshu. I'm here from London. And I wanted to ask you, how much free will do we actually have? How much is destiny and how much is free will?
Great. So, as you can imagine, this is a perennial question that arises, and it arises so much because it's so critical to our lives. How much is written? And how much do we write? So the easiest and simplest way of understanding it is this very moment where you are right now is all pre-written. You cannot rewind life, you cannot go backwards. Where you are right now is a mix of all of the different types of karma, right? We won't go into all of them now, but there's, you know, our very long-term karma and immediate karma and karma that is blossoming and blooming in this life. Right now is the sum total of all of that. Call this your destiny. You were destined to be right here, right now. However, in this moment, you have access to total free will. And in that free will, you are making choices. Now, obviously, the choices are colored by what we call sanskaras from your past. They're colored by your culture, your education, your upbringing. So lots of things have impacted it. But you have total free will. We have total free will to essentially be cookies out of a cookie cutter of what we came from, or to be totally different, or somewhere in between. Your decisions are totally free will. Those decisions are writing your destiny for tomorrow, for next week, for next month, for next year, for next life. Obviously, there will continue to be impact, even in your future, on action that you did, karma you did before this moment, but it's getting added to by that which you're doing in this moment. Right now is the pre of that which is predestined for you in the future. So make your choices, make your decisions very clear, because you're literally writing your own destiny. And that is where our spiritual practice is so important. It's where the presence of a guru is so powerful. Because you really want to make the right decisions. You want to make them consciously. You want to make them mindfully. You want to make them in alignment with that which is going to lead to a future that is bright for you, for the planet. The more conscious you are, the more mindful you are, the more connected and anchored you are, the more access you have to that vision, to that intuition, to that divine voice that helps you make the right decisions. But yeah, you have complete and total free will.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening, everyone. A beautiful morning and day to our family joining from all over the world online. And I look so forward to being together with you all tomorrow. And so much love.